Yo, what is up, bros? Modz here today, and we'll be going over the new Critical Convention Monk build. This is by far my favorite Monk build of the new Season 4 patch. It looks freaking absolutely crazy. You look like a crazy Bruce Lee ninja jumping around. It's pretty badass. So anyways, before we go into the build guide, I'll give you the breakdown, the format of how the video is going to go. First off, we'll be doing a little Paragon Point breakdown. After that, we'll be busting over to the Kanaya Cube, aka the Kanye West Cube, and be going over the overview there. After that, a little gear breakdown, gear variations, and then down in the info section, if you don't want to really watch the video, there will be a well-written written guide on Diablo fans that you could follow, or if you just want to like double check everything, he'll be there. It'll be pretty badass. So anyways, going into the build itself, it is based around the new Uliana's 6-piece bonus, so you can just check out the bonuses here. They're pretty good. 2-set bonus, every third hit of your Spirit Generator applies Exploding Palm. Every 4-piece, your 7-sided strike deals its total damage with each hit. And then your 6-piece, your 7-sided strike detonates your Exploding Palms. Boom, a bunch of like crazy damages. So that's the set that this is going to be based around. So anyway, let's go into Paragon Point distribution. Since you'll pretty much be capped on Paragon Point, or since you'll be capped on Spirit most of the time, you just want to be going into like full movement speed. So like whatever you're missing on a character, like right now I'm using boots with no movement speed on there, so I want to get 25 base. So get your 25 base movement speed. If you got 12 movement speed on your boots, put in 13 here. Next, main stat, if your health is under like 500k, you'll probably want to boost it up with a little Vit. Other than that, just put in dexterity, get the damage boost, get the armor boost. Now going to the offensive stats, since it is a critical hit chance based build. First off, you actually don't do critical hit chance, which is kind of funny. You do cooldown reduction first, because with this build, cooldown reduction equates to more damage, because it equals to like more 7-sided strikes, more ninja abilities, right? Boom, more 7-sided strikes. After that, critical hit chance, critical hit damage, then attack speed. Going into defensive stats, all resist first, armor, life percent, then life regen. That pretty much never really changes. And then into utility stats, area damage first, it is a pretty big damage upgrade, even though right now it is bugged for monks in the U6 set. A lot of the damage multipliers aren't factored into like your EPs and your 7-sided strikes. So anyways, it's still good, but it's not as good as it's supposed to be. So area damage first, then life on hit, and then resource cost reduction after that. And then your beloved gold find, since everyone loves gold finds. So that is your Paragon Point breakdown. Now going into your Kanaya Cube. This was introduced in this patch, and basically what you do is like when you find an item, you just like use this little recipe right here. You extract the legendary power with these little things that you obtain from the bounty caches and like the death's breast when you're doing whatever you're doing in the game. So anyways, biggest thing, Flow of Eternity reduces the cooldown of your 7-sided strike by 60%. You don't need a perfect one, because when you do cube an item, it takes like the best value. So if you find like a super shitty item, you're like, man, I'm never gonna use this thing. You are going to use it. You're going to put it in your Kanaya Cube, and it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be amazing, and you're going to love it. So anyways, Flow of Eternity, that is going to be one of your big things here. Now, if you're doing like ranking, doing solo ranking, which this build is absolutely very, very good for, you want your Spirit Guards. So every single time you attack with your generator, which you're going to be doing all the time, first off for a damage bonus, second off for applying your Uliana's Exploding Palms, third off for proccing these Spirit Guards. Whatever you attack with your generator, 40% damage bonus. If you're doing like speed runs or something, you could like, I don't even know where they are in the Kanaya Cube. You stop to like Madstone. So you like don't really have to stop to auto attack really that much, other than proccing your focus and restraint. So you just like put the Madstone on. So that's like whenever you do your crazy little 7-sided strikes, you just apply your Madstone like crazy, or your Exploding Palms like crazy. So anyways, Spirit Guards. And then last thing, what this build is like a lot different from the other U6 builds out there is Convention of Elements. So instead of Broken Promises running 0 crit on your gear, you're going to be running a critical hit chance with Convention Elements. This thing has to rotate through 5 elements because of monks. You know, you got cold, you got fire, you got holy, you got lightning, you got physical. We don't have arcane, we don't have poison. Thank goodness. So we rotate through 5 elements. We have 20% uptime. It's like 40% damage bonus. But the biggest thing is there's some cool little tricks that you do when the Convention Elements proc is active that I'll go into later on in the build. So that is absolutely mandatory. You're not going to be swapping that. Convention Elements is here to stay. So now going into the actual build guide, like stat priority breakdown. On most items, it's like dexterity, cooldown reduction, critical hit chance, critical hit damage. But we'll go into basically the basics of the build and what is very, very important for you to be getting. So once you get to level 70, what you want to be doing is you want to go to your cube and you want to use this other cool little thing right here. It's upgrade legendary. So you just like find some rare fists, right? Then you put in like these little badass things, and then you're going to put in like some rare fists, right? And then you're going to do like a little transmute thing. And then what you want to be getting first is Fist of Ass. So the Fist of Ass is one of the bread and butter items. The next thing is Lion Claws. So when you're transmuting fists, you have like, there's 2 items you could possibly get that you need from this. So your Fist of Ass, biggest thing on it is the Exploding Palm on death, or Exploding on death explosion increase. It rolls 75 to 100%. Sometimes a non-ancient fist is better than an ancient one, dependent on the EP damage increase. So even if you don't have an ancient one right away, but you have one like this where it's like 95, 100% damage increase, that's what you're going to want to run. You're going to want to run the Fist of Ass with the biggest EP damage increase. Other than that, stat party breakdown for your weapons are as following. Cooldown reduction or socket, cooldown reduction, your dexterity, 10% damage increase. If you're having survivability problems, swap out the percent damage increase and go with vitality. Now the second bread and butter item of this is Lion's Call. This is a seasonal exclusive item. So if you're playing on non-seasons, you're pretty much shit out of luck. But this is pretty good, pretty like double the amount of 7-sided strikes. Huge DPS boost. Stat party for that is going to be socket, cooldown reduction, dexterity, same exact thing. And then your third property is based on your survivability. So those are the 2 big items. Then after that, I usually use the Kanai Cube to get the Flow of Eternity that we have in there before. Now going into armor, I'll just do a quick breakdown. Like I said before, in the written guide down below, Diablo Fans Guide, there'll be a stat breakdown of every single items, your primary stats and your secondary items. So for like your boots, I prefer like dexterity, vit, and life regen. And the biggest thing is you want your 15% exploding palm damage increase. On your gear, you get up to like 30% on boots and helmets, so you definitely want the 15% on boots. Like even before like your survivability things, boom, get the exploding palm damage. Secondary, pretty much always you need your stacking resist for your synergy with harmony, and then go into like your healing glow bonus and stuff like that. And healing glow bonus, all right. Basically, just try to get your exploding palm damage on your pants, dex, vit, your life regen, your secondary stacking resist. Make sure it has the double sockets. And the reason why I'm getting life regen is because you have so much cooldown reduction, right? Like when you get your Gogu stacks up, like 66, almost 68%, you pretty much have like a 2-second downtime, give or take, 2 to 3 second downtime in your Desert Shroud. And that's going to give you, the 50% damage reduction, but also a bunch of spirit. But when you do 7-sided strike, it gives you immunity to damage, so you don't take any damage. So while you're doing the 7-sided strike, you get healed up a little by life regen. It's kind of nice, and like healing go bonuses, so you just bounce around and you just like 7-sided strike and stuff like that. So anyway, that's what you're going to want there. On your gloves, pretty basics, dex, crit chance, crit damage, cooldown reduction. Make sure you get your stacking resist. Your shoulders, dex, vit, all resist, 8% CDR. You don't really want 7-sided strike damage on this. I'd prefer the cooldown reduction. On your helmet, this is your other big ticket item. You definitely want your critical hit chance, your dex, your exploding palm damage, your socket, exploding palm damage. Biggest thing here, try to get that 50% roll, huge damage boost. Next thing is one of your big ticket items, your Gundu gear. This was a season exclusive legendary a couple patches back. Biggest thing on here, get your 19-20% cold damage buff, your critical hit chance, your dex, your vit, your stacking resist. But the most important thing is the unique property. Exploding Palm's on death explosion applies Exploding Palm. So it's like basically the best way to describe it, it's pretty much like herpes in like a freshman dorm room. Like once that first EP goes off, just everything around it is just gonna have all the EPs, and then they're gonna be buffed to craziness levels, just mad explosions everywhere. Your chest, dex, vit, life percent, if you don't have enough life, I would go life percent. Other than that, you want reduction from least 10 to 11%. Secondary resist, you want your stacking resist. Then you prefer like reduction from range and melee attacks, but I got life out to kill, and make sure you get those triple sockets. Okay, now going into the belt, this is Binding of the Lost. So each hit with your 7-sided strikes grant 3.3% damage reduction. Since you have the Lion's Claw, you get 14. There's like it's 14 times, 3.3 times 14, bam. So bam, that's good. Whole bunch of damage reduction, even less damage. At some point, when we were doing greater risks, like even when I did 66 in season 4 so far, I could pretty much face tank everything. Like I just like go into the middle of everything and just face tank. So on this belt, Dex, Vit, Life Percent, Life for Gen, get your stacking resist. And then going into your amulets, ideal amulet is a Hellfire amulet. They did make Hellfire amulets a lot easier to get this patch. So this is what you're going to be wanting to get. I prefer like Dex, crit chance, crit damage, your stacking resist, and your socket. Ideal extra passive would be Harmony or Beacon Etar, because no matter what, you'll always be running those passives on this build, no matter what. Like it is pretty much never going to change. Those passives are always included, okay? So you always want those passives. So I either prefer, you know, either Beacon Etar or the Harmony passive, either or. And then the preferred stacking resist is always physical. Reduce the physical damage taken. If you don't want to run dexterity, so if like this non-ancient one, I would actually prefer like 20% cold elemental damage and then crit chance, crit damage socket. If you have an ancient one, keep the dex on it, crit chance, crit damage. Pretty generic there. And then another thing, your big damage multipliers, FNR, focus, and restraint. They're pretty much individual buffs. They're 50% each, but it equates to like 125% damage boost. And well, big damage increase. Ideal stats on these would be crit damage, crit chance, cooldown reduction. If you don't get that, just run them like this: your dex, your crit chance, your cooldown reduction, your sockets, and make sure you get your stacking resist. Same thing here, same exact stacks. And then cooldown reduction is obviously important. More CDR you get, the better. Now going in gems for this build, go swiftness. Try to get this up to 50% first, like rank 50. This attack speed is good, but 50% more CDR, and it's pretty much always going to be active. Procs off your 7-sided strikes, your auto attacks. Bane of the Trapped, just a flat damage increase. This is probably like the one that you want to level up second. Well, you actually level this up to rank 25 first, right? And then you level this up to rank 50, and then you start boosting this thing up after that. Anyways, just flat DPS increase, and actually auto procs itself. You don't need like any other slows from any other things. And then last but not least, Bane of the Stricken, which was added this season. Pretty huge damage boost. Each attack you make against the enemy increases the damage it takes by your attacks by 1.51%. Obviously, it scales with levels. And then when you unlock the secondary, grants 25% increased damage against bosses and Rift Guardians. So those will be your gems. Those are not really interchangeable, but it's whatever. And then for amulets also, if you don't like have a Hellfire amulet, Eye of Lich is good. A survivability increase from range attacks, and then Flavor Time is also good. It rolls 5 properties, so you'd actually get like Dex, crit chance, crit damage, and then you get like your cooldown reduction also for more, you know, more damage, more immunity when your 7-sided strike is active. And make sure you get that socket. Now let's go into our skill breakdown. So your generator, you're going to be using this to proc your FNR, which I just went over in the other like the gear overview. Basically what happens, each time you hit with your third strike, increase your damage 5%. This stacks. So a lot of times when you get the big density in one of those ideal GG riffs, you're gonna have 30 stacks of like way the 105ths. Huge damage increase. You're not really gonna swap that. Like we're doing speed runs, you like and you're killing stuff super quick, you swap to like Fist of Thunder or Quickening. Because sometimes you do get drained onto your 7-sided strike. Next, for mobility, also you're going to be using this skill offensively for the passive dodge. As I was talking about before, I'm pretty much able to face tank stuff like crazy just because of the belt, and also you're going to have like 72% dodge that's going to be active all the time with its build. You're like a little dodging ninja, and then you also have a bunch of armor and a bunch of all resist. So anyways, dashing strike, blinding speed, a 40% increased dodge for 4 seconds after using dashing strike. Bam, just run that. And then for your Epiphany, Desert Shroud, that's where you're getting a regen. So you get like 7-sided strike more also. The big thing is 50% damage reduction. And since your cooldown reduction is so low on this build, it's going to be active almost all the time. Again, your Exploding Palm, even though like your U6 set, it does have like apply Exploding Palm, it only throws up the basic Exploding Palm, like the unruined version. So you're going to want to run Impending Doom. It's a cold version. So that means all your elemental damage increase is going to be cold on your gear. You want, 40% max. And it's just huge damage. It doesn't have like a bleed effect, but when it explodes, 6,305% weapon damage. Now, obvious that's increased by your Fist of Ass and stuff like that. Now your 7-sided strike, you're going to want to use 7-sided strike sustained attack, reduce CDR, so you do it more. Right, boom. Like very, very low cooldown reduction. You just like spam it pretty much. Now even though there is a cold rune, it's not really worth it because you're look how long your cooldown is going to be. Yeah, that's kind of bad. And then for your mantra, run Mantra of Salvation with agility, more dodge, especially for solo Greaterus. This is what you're going to want to use. And then in the play video, another variation of this is running, if you're running with another monk, when you're doing like 4-player Greaterus and you want to run Ulianas instead of like the EP buff spec with like Shenlongs or Furnace, you're going to want to swap to Blinding Flash, Faith of Light, and then pretty much every other 7-sided strike, it will be buffed by the Faith of Light, which is like a little 29% damage increase for 3 seconds after using it. It also CC mobs, which obviously helps within rifts. And then going into your passives, Harmony, pretty much always going to have. I got Beacon of Yitar on this amulet right now, so you don't see that on there. Near-death experience, in case you almost do get one shot randomly and you don't expect it, or if you're out of a 7-sided strike and a frozen goes off, or there's a frozen pulse, or basically any give mechanic, something charges off screen, you got that so you don't waste time. Every single time you die in a Greater Earth, it really sets you back quite a bit. Now for the damage increase, Determination. Determination is really nice. Each enemy within 12 yards increase your damage by 4% up to 20% max. Ideal Rift, this will always be active. Like if you're fighting less than 4 mobs, 5 mobs, you're doing something wrong. You should like just move on and kite forward. And then last but not least, Guardian's Path, another 35% dodge. When I do like a 4-player Greater Rifting with this build, I actually don't even run Near-Death Experience. I'll run Relentless Assault because I'm using Blind, right? And then also I'll use Mythic Rhythm in place of Guardian's Path. And this is the trick that I was talking about earlier. So Mythic Rhythm, every 3rd hit from your Spirit Gen increase your damage of your next Spirit Spender by 40%. You actually, with the way Uliana's works, what you're going to want to do is when you get your Cold Convention proc, bam, like this, you're going to want to like attack, make sure you get that Mystic Rhythm buff active. And it doesn't have like a little notifier. And then you have to manually apply your Exploding Palm to the mob. And then you'll like 7-sided strike on the mob, and then it'll apply the buffed Exploding Palm around you. Just make sure not to override it because the way snapshotting mechanics works, it definitely, there's like a learning curve for it, and there's a little skill gap, but once you get it down in group play, it's a big damage increase. So I'm just going to swap this back to Guardian's Path. And that is pretty much the setup. Like I said, Diablo Fans Guide, the little written guide, is down in the info section. It goes over all this, all the gear variations, Kanai Q variations, gear variations, basically everything you can think of will be down there. What I'll be showing next is it's a GR70 4-player video. Unfortunately, I didn't get a video of my solo clear, which you can see on leaderboards on US right now. It's still very early in seasons, obviously, but it shows how powerful this build can actually be. If you go to Solo Monk, I don't know, it's just there. Greater 66 in 13 minutes. So this build's absolutely amazing. If you actually want to see like the gear that I'll be using, you just go to view profile on US leaderboards and it's there, bam. It's exactly what I went over with in this guide. Also, I almost forgot something. Your gems, helmet, diamond, gear, pretty much always dexterity gems. And then for your follower, your Templar, what you're going to do is heal. You're going to do loyalty, life regen, right? Charge, it also has a stun, and then inspire. Inspire 1.1% multiplier on all of your skills. And then usually to set up, you want the enchanting favors so your follower can't die. Thunder Fury for the attack speed slow. The ward, so like your lightning damage has a chance to stun stuff. Essa Johan, so it groups things up. Cooldown reduction is definitely recommended on all these items. And then Bullcathos Wedding Band, it does drain life from enemies, is decent. And then for my shield, I like the freeze of deflection. And then your ideal pot would be Bottomless Potion of Amplification, increase your healing from all resources by 25%. So anyways, let's go into this Greater 75. I'll do a little commentary through it. But anyways, thanks for watching the video. Let's go watch this. I'll be back. Greater 70 hype. So since I am doing 4-player Greater, I am using the blind variation of this build. I'm not actually using, you know, the mantra version. So what you want to do is, like, when you get into the big density, you're just going to get your assimilation buff up, and then you're just going to start 7-sided striking like crazy. Make sure to keep the F&R bonus active. Make sure to keep your assimilation stacks up. Reposition so you get the most out of your stacks, and then just 7-sided strike like crazy. Made a mistake there. I got out of range out of the heal monk. Make sure to always stay near heal monk. I don't know why they didn't want to come back for that density. You see me applying like exploding palm manually there when convention of elements proc was active. I'm just trying to kite back and pull some density for the group. I definitely might die here. I don't remember if I do, but it's not really too smart going that far out of range out of your heal / EXP bunk. Going to the next level, we're going to be grouping up the density. That's what you should always try to be doing. And then obviously cutting forward and getting as many elites and stuff as possible. I believe we got we do have a pylon here, and I believe it's a conduit, so that's why we're trying to really group everything up right now. And you're gonna see me go off into the corner and grab this elite pack and try to kite it into the group, even though I'm out of range of the heal monk again, which puts me in a bad spot. Gonna try to group everything up for maximum conduit. That boost though, that boost. Don't forget your purple orbs, 1% per one that you pick up. Here we're just cutting forward again, and then we're going to group up all the mobs. And then also when we get this huge density like this, it allows you to get your assimilation buffs or your assimilation stacks up to max. Max assimilation. Everything, grouping up everything again. And boom, the boss is spawned. I'm just going down here to look for like a pylon or something, usually like some hidden ones. So we still have the power, so might as well go look for it. And this is where you're going to see the true power of the CoE build and how much damage it actually outputs compared to the Broken Promises build. It definitely excels in single target damage and group damage compared to Broken Promises, just because of the convection of elements, and then also the consistency because you do incorporate critical hit chance into the guide, so you're not dependent on the proc that isn't active 100% of the time. And then with skillful gameplay, you can definitely maximize your mythic rhythm and your buffed exploding palms during your CoE proc. I definitely did make some mistakes this run. I probably should have run near-death experience, but I kind of feel for at least level 70 greater rifts using this spec, it's not needed at all. And then I'd rather go with a higher damage output spec. And at this point, yeah, Bane of the Stricken so stacked up, it's hitting for like 20 billion-ish. 33 billion. Whew. Pretty good clear, pretty good clear. So anyways, quick overview of the video and of stat priorities. What you're gonna do, remember basic things are, make sure you get your Fist of As, make sure you get your Lion's Claw. Uliana's 6-piece bonus, get your Focus and Restraint for 125% damage boost. Binding the Loss for the damage reduction. Hellfire Amulet is best in slot. Ideal stats would be around 40% critical hit chance base, around 400 crit damage base, 50 area damage through your Paragon points. Cooldown reduction, definitely want to over 60%. More cooldown reduction equals more damage, equals more survivability. Your cold damage increase, you want to get to 20%. I'm slacking. I only got 19. I got that. It's pretty much a scum bum roll. And then exploding palm damage, 30%. Ideal stacking resist, make sure it is above 1000. Armor, before like Paragon points and stuff, make sure it's over like 14k. Once you get Paragon points in there, like over like 17k is definitely viable. Max life over 500k. Get a little life regen, life on hit through your Paragon points. Life after kill is good also. Healing go bonus is beneficial because a lot of your source of healing is going to be coming from that. And then that is pretty much it. Oh, and 25% movement speed. And then your Kanai Cube, conversions, Flow of Eternity, Spirit Guards, and Convention of Elements. If you want to check the rating guide, like I said before, Diablo fans link down in the info section. If you like it, don't forget to upvote it. But anyways, peace out, everybody. Thank you for watching, and happy hunting in Season 4. Modz out.